write me emails and Facebook inbox messages about this singer Akon. Okay? Now, I know a lot of you all mean well, and I don't want to sound like I'm coming down too hard on you all, because I know you all mean well. You want to know what my thoughts are on different issues, what my opinions are. But man, in the last week or so, like if you're Facebook friends with mine, you'll see 2 people posted that video interview between the radio personality Sway and the singer Akon on my Facebook timeline, and said, Alan, man, what's your thoughts? I've received a number, probably at least a dozen email messages from guys asking me my thoughts on what Akon said. And again, I actually briefly, it was very brief, but I addressed this already in a recent video. In real simple terms, Akon don't know what the fuck he talking about. He don't. I don't know the brother. I'm not even really that familiar with him until this interview came out. I wasn't even really familiar with who Akon was. I want to say I had never really heard of the dude. For those of you who might not be familiar with what I'm talking about, there's a popular radio personality named Sway who interviewed this singer named Akon. And they got on the subject of dating and relationships and male-female intersexual dynamics. And Akon, with full conviction, made the statement that men are naturally promiscuous, but women are not. He said it is not in a woman's nature to be promiscuous. He said the only women who engage in promiscuous behavior are women who have been deeply emotionally hurt, or they're just emotionally damaged. He said they've been emotionally damaged. But he said otherwise women are naturally monogamous. And his basis was the same basis that a lot of men who believe in that women are naturally monogamous believe. Some men believe because of the fact that women give birth to children that automatically makes them naturally monogamous. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Yep, it's totally invalid. I can tell you 2 books, if you want to take my word for it, that pretty much co-sign with all of my thoughts and opinions and assertions on the subject matter. And I mentioned these 2 books multiple times in previous videos. One is Stephanie Kuhn's book, Marriage: A History. Among other things, one of the things she talks about in her book is that, do you know strictly monogamous marriages are only approximately 4,500 to 5,000 years old? Now, on paper, that sounds like a long time, but human beings have been on Earth for a minimum of approximately 200,000 years. 200,000 years. So, you put 5,000 into 200,000, that's a drop in the bucket. Yeah, initially, everybody was either into promiscuity, polyamory, or some variation of polygamy. Primarily polygyny, as opposed to polyandry. Polygyny is a man who has multiple wives. Polyandry is a woman who has multiple husbands. It's rare in any country or culture that they're going to allow a woman to have multiple husbands. That's extremely rare. But yeah, that's what most people were, according to her book, since the beginning of time. Most people were either promiscuous, polyamorous, or polygamous. Another book I used to promote a lot in 2017 and to a lesser extent in 2018, I haven't mentioned that much in 2019, is this book by Daniel Bergner, What Do Women Want? Really good book. This book, it didn't really teach me anything I didn't know, but more so what it did was confirm a lot of things that I had already believed to be true. And I was mentioning in a recent video how I don't really get into research studies and research surveys and stuff. You want to know the only time I really pay attention to studies or surveys, and I've said this before, is when they confirm things that I know from my own experiences and observations to be true. That's the only time I'll reference a study or a survey or a book to do with male-female intersexual dynamics and dating relationships in general, is when it confirms stuff that I know from my own experiences to be true. But if somebody comes out with a research study and it's not in line with what I've experienced and what I've observed, I don't pay attention to it. I don't pay attention to it. 95 to 99% of the time, I don't pay attention to it. I tend to look at it as bullshit. But Daniel Berger's book, basically what Daniel Berger said, I'm paraphrasing a lot of his content and material, but essentially what he says is that men strongly want to believe. Men strongly want to believe that women are born with a natural proclivity to be strictly monogamous because it makes them sleep better at night, is what Daniel Berger essentially says. He said it makes most men sleep better at night. Look at the history of this world, and specifically men's behavior towards women's sexuality. Look at men forcing women to wear chastity belts, men mutilating women's clitorises. Men for centuries have tried to own and control women's sexuality. Since damn near the beginning of time, men have attempted to own and control women's sexuality. That's the main reason why you had the second wave of feminism. See, if you read most mainstream media content, they'll have you believe the main impetus behind the second wave of feminism was women's desire for more career opportunities, employment opportunities in general, and equal play, equal compensation in the workplace. No. The number one reason, the real reason why women pushed for the second wave of feminism, because they were tired of men trying to own their sexuality. They were tired of their fathers and stepfathers trying to dictate who they could date and who they could have sex with. And behind that, they were tired of their husbands treating them basically like an owned sex toy. That's why one of the main slogans that was popular during the second wave of feminism was "My body, my choice." My body, my choice. That was women's way of saying, I'm gonna do whatever I fucking want to do with my body. I'm gonna fuck who I want to fuck. That's what they really wanted to say. The more formal version of it was my body, my choice. But really, what a lot of those women really wanted to say is, I'm gonna fuck who I want to fuck when I feel like fucking them. If women were naturally monogamous, quickly on a side note, if you remember the last time I talked about, in a lengthy, detailed manner, the subject of women's true sexual nature, you know that ended up being my most viewed YouTube video to date. Yeah, I amassed over 70,000 views when I did a video the day before my birthday, March 2nd, because my birthday is on March 3rd. I did a video on March 2nd of this year called "Most Men Cannot Handle Women's True Sexual Nature." Yeah, that video had over 70,000 views and just under 1,000 comments and reply comments. But yeah, man, if women were naturally monogamous, you would have to twist their arm to get them to indulge in promiscuous behavior. You would have to twist their arm. If women were naturally monogamous, why would you need to promise them monogamy? Like when you get married, why would you need to exchange vows and promise that you're going to be faithful to them and that they have to promise that they're going to be faithful to you? Why? If it's natural. See, when something is natural, that means that nobody has to coerce you to do something. They don't have to provide you with any type of monetary incentive or reward to do something. That person is going to have a natural motivation to do it. They're going to have a biological impulse to do it. That's what it means for something to be naturally in someone's nature. Like, I am naturally hungry for food. It ain't like somebody got to say to me, Alan, I'll pay you $1,000 to eat some food. Nobody has to do that. I naturally want to eat food, particularly chicken wings. So it ain't like somebody got to say, Alan, I'll pay you $10,000 for you to eat some chicken wings. When you have a natural biological urge to do something, yeah, that means you don't have to really have any added incentive, any extra incentive involved to motivate you to do it. And nobody has to twist your arm or persuade you or coerce you to do it. You're going to naturally engage in that activity. The reality is, man, there are women who are monogamous, but they are not naturally monogamous. There are a percentage of women that are into strict, long-term, strictly monogamous sex, but it's not natural. Just about every woman in society who does engage in strictly monogamous sexual behavior is because of their social programming and their cultural conditioning. Their social programming and their cultural conditioning. That's what guides a lot of aspects of human behavior, is social programming and cultural conditioning. Yeah, a lot of women from the time they're young, they are essentially socially brainwashed to believe in the idea of being strictly monogamous to a man, mainly by organized religion. And I talk about that in the Beta Male Revolution. Yeah, that's one of the functions of organized religion, is to make women believe that they should always remain strictly monogamous to one man. Matter of fact, if you examine most religions, what do you notice about most religions? There might be a couple of exceptions, but what do you notice about most religions? Is number one, they generally promote the idea of monogamy in general and only having sex within the context of marriage. But even more specifically, they put extra emphasis on female monogamy. Most religions put extra emphasis on women remaining indefinitely monogamous to a man, more so than they emphasize men remaining faithfully monogamous to a woman. No human being, male or female, is born with a natural desire to be monogamous. None. No male, no female. We were designed to be able to get horny so that we will engage in sexual activity so that we can reproduce ourselves. Let me repeat that. All human beings were designed, number one, to be able to get horny so that we will be motivated to engage in sexual activity, particularly vaginal intercourse, so that we may reproduce ourselves. So that we may reproduce ourselves. So bottom line, man, if you put, okay, and for those of you men who want to believe that women are naturally monogamous, I'll tell you something. Invite a bunch of attractive male strippers to your house or apartment with muscular, chiseled out physiques and have them dance in front of your wife, fiance, or girlfriend with rock hard dicks and just see if your woman can resist that shit. See if she can resist, since she's naturally monogamous. See if she can resist that. Have you men ever been around women when they've been in the company of a male stripper that they're attracted to? If you haven't, then obviously that's when you're gonna be naive about women's true nature. I've been around women in the company of a male. Matter of fact, the closest I ever came myself to being a male, I've never been a male stripper, but I told this story a couple times before. One time in summer of 1985, and as you know, 1985, that was the first full calendar year that I was Mode 1 with women. I had a female friend who used to work at a lingerie shop in Bloomington, Indiana, which is where Indiana University is. And they were having this lingerie show. And she wanted to recruit some models. They had about 8 female models and 2 male models. And I was one of the 2 male models. And if I had to toot my horn, at that time, summer of 85, if I say so myself, I had it going on in terms of my physique. I had that V going on, small waist, wide chest. I probably had like about 4% body fat. Yeah, my physique was very lean, chiseled, and muscular. And that's one of the reasons why she recruited me. And so yeah, I was one of 2 male models. It was me and this white guy. We were the 2 male models. Man, you should have seen how those women were responding to me, man, when I was walking around in a G-string and shit. Man, those women was grabbing on my ass, grabbing on my dick. Man, they was acting worse than horny men act when they're around female strippers or female lingerie models. And I'm not even joking. When women are around guys that they have a high desire of lust for, they cannot help themselves but to want to touch those men. Let me repeat that. When a woman is in the company of a man that she has an above average degree of sexual lust for, she is going to have a strong desire to want to touch on that man. Matter of fact, on a quick side note, shout out to Big Mike from Mag City Limits. I don't want to go deep where he went. He went somewhere where I don't want to go because I respect this brother that he's talking about. But there's a well-known YouTube personality named Dr. Boyce Watkins. And recently he got engaged and he has a video of himself proposing to his future wife. Let's just say if you're a man like myself, and I would go ahead and put Big Mike in this same category. People who've been following me for a while know I'm a keen observer of body language. I am a keen observer of body language. I would almost venture to say, even though I don't have credentials to back it up, but I would almost say I'm at an expert level when it comes to reading men and women's body language. I'm pretty much almost at an expert level when it comes to reading men and women's body language, signs of interest and disinterest. I'm not going to go in on Dr. Boyce Watkins' proposal video, but I'll just say this, man, what I've already said. You want to know how you can tell when a couple has a strong, genuine attraction for each other? Is when they can't keep their hands off each other. When they're always touching on each other. They're always touchy-feely on each other, man. That's one of the top 2 or 3 ways you can tell when a couple is really, really into each other. When a man is really into a woman and when a woman is really into a man, is that they can't stop smooching, they can't stop touching on each other. If it's easy for a woman to go a long time without touching on you, without touching on your hand, your face, your body, 9 times out of 10, that means she ain't really attracted to you. I'm just going to keep it real. 9 times out of 10, that means she ain't really attracted. Same with a man. If it's easy for a man to go a long time without touching his wife, fiance, or girlfriend's body, 9 times out of 10, he ain't really attracted to her. At best, he has a lukewarm attraction to her. And at worst, he has virtually no attraction to her. Same with a woman. At best, if she can go long stretches without touching her husband, fiance, or boyfriend, I would say at best that means she has a lukewarm attraction to him. And at worst, she has virtually no attraction to him. When a woman has a high degree of attraction for you, a high degree of sexual lust for you, she's always going, like, if I had to bring myself into this, my current girlfriend, man, I tease all the time. Like, my current girlfriend is always hugging on me and kissing on me. Always. Anytime we're together, man, she's always hugging on me and kissing on me. And I would say, for the most part, I'm always touching on her too. But yeah, I tease about that all the time. When we were in Atlanta together, I kept teasing. I said, you just can't keep your hands off daddy, can you? And she just smiled and laughed. But yeah, man, she's always touching on me, man, which is a good thing. I talked about this at a workshop I did in Vegas in 2012. As a matter of fact, a lot of you are familiar with another dating advisor named Johnny Saporno. His girlfriend at the time, I think he might be still with her. Her name is Violet. She acknowledged that because she heard me talk about it at the workshop. And she said, Alan, you were so on point when you talked about how when you're really attracted to somebody that you just have a natural urge to want to touch on them all the time. Yeah, man. Dude, I've been around, I'm telling you, man, I've been around, like I've had friends who were male strippers, man. And like I mentioned one on a couple of videos I used to hang out with in LA, man. He used to show me videos. Man, you should see some, y'all should have seen some of these videos he had where he would do like private bachelorette parties. Man, he would have women, a lot of these women were married or had a boyfriend. Man, they would be going crazy over this motherfucker, man. They'd be grabbing all on his dick, grabbing all on his ass, rubbing on his chest, damn near begging him to fuck them. He would literally have women. Again, a lot of these women would be married or had a boyfriend. They'd be like, please fuck me, please. Please fuck me. I want your dick so bad. Please fuck me. Please. See, I'm going to give you a little secret about women, man. Women will show their true sexual side when they're around two groups of people. When they're around other women who are like themselves, in other words, non-prudish women. When women are in the company of other women that they know are open-minded, free-spirited, and kinky like themselves, they're going to show their true sexual behavior, their sexual tendencies. And when they're in the company of men who they know are very discreet and non-judgmental, kinky, discreet, and non-judgmental, they're going to show their true sexual side too. Those are the two groups of people that women are always going to show their true sexual side to. Is other women who they know are kinky, open-minded, free-spirited, and non-judgmental, and men who are kinky, open-minded, free-spirited, and non-judgmental, and on top of that, discreet. Yep. But see, when women are around men or women who they feel are very judgmental, very indiscreet, and very prudish, that's when they're going to hold back. That's when women are going to hold back on revealing their true sexual nature. That's when they're going to hold back. Women are, generally speaking, they're going to always hold back on their true sexual self if they think you're, number one, judgmental, if they think you're indiscreet, i.e. you got a big mouth, or they think you're prudish and self-righteous. Combination of prudish and self-righteous. That's when women are going to hold back, man. They're not going to show you their true sexual self. So you might say, Alan, if women's naturally are not naturally monogamous, then why do so many of them pretend as if they are? Aha. Good question. Why you think? Why you think? Think about your own gender. When you really examine your own gender, you'll realize why women allow men to buy into the belief that they're naturally monogamous. Oh, another thing on Akon, man, he contradicted himself. If you listen closely to the interview, he contradicted himself. You know, I say always, I got a keen ear for people who say stuff that's inconsistent, contradictory, or hypocritical. He contradicted himself. He started off saying that women were naturally monogamous. He said women were naturally monogamous. But then later on in that same interview, he said there's two types of women. He said, then he went on to say technically three. He said there's women who are natural mothers, and along with that, they're naturally monogamous. Then he said there's women who are just flat out hoes. And then he said there's women that are a combination of both. They have maternal instincts, but at the same time, they're still hoish. That's a contradiction, man. That's a contradiction. How can you say on one end that women are naturally monogamous, but then turn around and say, well, there's really at least two groups of women who are naturally monogamous and women who are naturally promiscuous? You can't say both. Come on, man. You can't say both. Okay, let me ask you this as a man. If men are naturally promiscuous and women are naturally monogamous, who you fucking? That's $1 million question. Who you fucking? If you single, particularly if you single. If you're single, who you fucking? In other words, if you don't have a wife, you don't have a fiance, you don't have a long-term girlfriend, and the women you fucking know, they know you don't have a wife, they know you don't have a fiance, and they know you don't have a long-term girlfriend, why are they opening up their legs to you if they're naturally monogamous? Why? What's their motivation? And I'm mainly talking to guys who've had a reputation for being somewhat of a womanizer, ladies' man and womanizer. Why are those women opening up their legs for you? If you had the experiences that I've had, meaning that you've been a number of women's side dude, on the lover on the side, like I have when I was between 17 and 37. If you've been women's side dude, why was those women opening up their legs for you? And you wasn't spending no money on them. And you wasn't spending no time with them non-sexually. And you didn't really have no profound emotional attachment with them. Why were they opening up their legs for you? Why? Like the women who I was fucking, who were married, engaged to be married, or had a long-term boyfriend, I didn't spend no money on them. I didn't spend really any time with them non-sexually. And I didn't have any type of what I would call profound emotional attachment to them. So why were they sucking my dick and opening up their legs for me if they're naturally monogamous? That don't even make sense. Seriously, that don't even make sense, man. Bottom line, man, men want to own pussy. Men don't just want pussy. Most men in society, they want to own pussy. They want to own pussy. I talked about that at the 21 convention last year. Most men want to own pussy. And that's, again, the main reason why you had the second wave of feminism. Because women basically said to men, we ain't going to allow you to own our pussy. Even if we married to you, we ain't going to allow you to own our pussy. And men today can't handle that shit. They can't handle the fact that they can no longer be in a position to truly own a woman's pussy. That's why you got a lot of men who commit domestic violence, among other reasons. I ain't gonna say that's the only reason, but that's probably one of the top 2 to 3 reasons why a lot of men engage in domestic violence. Because they're frustrated that they can't own their wife's, fiance's, or girlfriend's pussy. If they see, some men will commit domestic violence if they see their wife, fiance, or girlfriend just flirting with another guy. Men don't like to think about their wife, fiance, or girlfriend fucking another dude. They don't like to think about that. You got some men who don't really have a problem. Guys who are, for example, into open relationships, polyamorous relationships, and the like. Guys who are swingers, couple swappers. But, yeah, most guys, man, they're too egotistically insecure, man, to fathom the thought of their wife, fiance, or long-term girlfriend And why do you think you got all these discussions on YouTube? I hear them at times where guys say, well, in so many words, this is what they'll say. Well, if I can't own pussy, I don't want none of my tax dollars to benefit women. I don't want women to have any type of protection against physical harm. I don't want any man to propose marriage to them. They want women to be miserable. The attitude is, if I can't own women's pussy, and society does not make it conducive for me to own a woman's pussy, then the attitude is, I don't want women to have any society-related perks, benefits, or protection. That's what a lot of men's argument is. A lot of men are resentful over the fact that they can't own a woman's pussy, man. You can't. You can't legally own no woman's pussy. See, there was a time when you could. You know, again, I mentioned this before videos. There was a time in this country's history and in just world history in general, you could literally legally beat your wife's ass if you caught her flirting with another guy, or you found out that she, made out with another guy. You could literally take her home and beat her ass without risking going to jail, prison, or none of that shit. Yeah? That was a time in history where a man could beat his wife's ass if he found out not only that she was cheating on him, but just if she was like flirting with another guy, he could beat her ass. You can't do that shit no more. You'll be locked up in jail. You do that shit now. You'll be locked up in jail. Ain't no woman naturally monogamous. Ain't no woman naturally monogamous. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, briefly, in my Patreon exclusive portion, I want to talk about a lot of men. As you know, I'm not the biggest fan of small talk. But some men have been writing me recently and saying, well, Alan, I've been in some situations where I feel like if I just get to the point too quickly, it makes women perceive me as a creep, as a creepy guy. How can I avoid or prevent women perceiving me as a creepy guy? Does that mean I need to engage in a lengthy amount of small talk? I'll discuss that in my Patreon exclusive portion. Okay. Yeah, I've had at least about 3 or 4 guys that have written me recently saying that they've been in situations with women where they were, on the positive end, they were trying their best to avoid engaging in trivial, inconsequential small talk. But they felt like they went too far on the opposite end, where they just got to the point quickly about wanting to share that woman's company and be intimate with her. And they said that some women made comments like, well, is that how you open up a conversation? And dang, you don't even talk enough to get to know a woman. And they said they were left feeling as though the woman perceived them as creepy. Hold on one second. So the question becomes, Alan, is there ever a situation when you believe that you should engage in some degree of small talk, or what PUAs like to call rapport building? That's what they call it. A lot of conventional pickup artists, they call what I call small talk, they call it rapport building. Okay, here's the thing. First of all, let me give just a simple definition of small talk. A lot of people think small talk means any conversation you engage in with a woman that has nothing to do with your sexual desires, interests, and intentions. Any conversation you have with a woman that has nothing to do with your sexual desires, interests, and intentions. That's not 100% true. That's not 100% true. That's not what small talk is. Small talk is when you're talking about anything with a woman that you just really don't care about. That you really don't care about. For example, if you're talking about sports with a woman and in your mind you're like, I don't really care about sports, you're engaging in small talk. If you're talking to a woman about politics and in your mind you're like, I don't really care about politics, you're engaging in small talk. If you're talking about movies and in your mind you're like, I don't really care about movies, that means you're engaging in small talk. Anytime you're engaging in a certain type of conversation that's not representative of what's really on your mind, that means you're engaging in small talk. Matter of fact, do you know, I've mentioned this before, do you know one of the reasons why a lot of men like to be tricks and only have sex with women who are like street prostitutes, call girls, and escorts? A lot of people think that men who favor prostitutes, call girls, and escorts is because they don't have the opportunity to have sex with any woman that's not a professional sex worker. No, that's not true. And again, I've talked about this before, and there's even been articles written about it. Do you know a lot of men who are tricks are married? Or if not married, they got, a girlfriend or some other type of romantic companion. So it ain't that it's completely lack of opportunities. A lot of men pay for prostitutes. Why? So that they can skip, among other reasons, is so they can bypass trivial small talk. That's literally probably one of the top 3 reasons why a lot of guys go to favor having sex with women who are prostitutes, call girls, or erotic escorts. Because they don't have to engage in obligatory small talk. They can just get to the point without being shamed for it. Yeah, when you deal with a prostitute, you don't engage in small talk with it. You just say, hey, I want to give you $75 so you can suck my dick. Or I'm going to give you $150 so we can fuck. You able to get right to the point. Now, speaking of that, and while we're on this subject, I don't go to strip clubs too often, but every now and then I do. Whether it's when one of my friends is about to get married, and that might be where the bachelor party is, or something of that nature. If you've never been to a strip club, you should go at least once or twice. Why? Because you learn how it feels to be on the opposite end. You learn how it feels to be on the opposite end. For example, in most strip clubs, the women, of course, they make the first move. Probably at least 95% of the time. The women make the first move. They come to you. And basically, their objective is to get you to pay for what's known as a lap dance. A lap dance. Now, some women are mode 1. They're just coming to you and basically be like, hey, I want you to have a lap dance with me. They'll come right out with it. Then other women will be mode 2. They'll engage you in some lengthy, flattering, and entertaining small talk prior to letting you know they want you to have a lap dance. And then other women will almost try to act like that's not even on their agenda when they know deep down it is. So let me ask you, how do you feel about women being mode 1 versus mode 2 versus mode 3 when you're in a strip club environment? For me, I generally, of course, like when women are mode 1, but I will say this. I don't like when women just treat me like I'm a walking, talking $50 bill. I don't like that. I don't like when women talk to me as if I'm a walking, talking $50 bill. And this relates to why I've always said to men, you should never talk to women like they're just a piece of meat. Like they're just a walking, talking vagina. You want to talk to them like they're a human being. So at the same time, I like women being more one with me when I'm in a strip club. I like for them to talk to me like I'm a fully developed human being. I give you an example. I don't like a woman to just come to me and say, okay, time for a lap dance. And then they'll try to grab my hand or grab my wrist and pull me. And I'll be like, no, bitch, what are you doing? I didn't tell you I want a lap dance. Oh, come on. That's the reason you're in here. Why are you bullshitting? That's the reason you're in here to get a lap dance and might as well be with me. See, no, I don't want no woman coming at me like that. I don't want no woman coming at me like that. I like when women approach me and they'll say something like, what's your name? And I'll say, Alan. Then they'll say, I'm Fantasy. You know, they always have those fake names. My name is Fantasy. And they'll say, so are you here in town or are you out of town? Why do you think they ask that question? Because strippers believe that out of town guys are more likely to tip them better than guys who are in town, who are regulars. So that's one of the first questions they'll usually ask. And then one of the things I usually ask them is, are they good at talking dirty? That's one of the questions I always ask the strippers. Are they good at talking dirty? Because if they ain't good at talking dirty, I know I'm not going to enjoy myself with them if I get a lap dance. But anyway, without digressing too far away from the main topic, it's okay to spend a minute or two filling a woman out. Filling a woman out. I would say at bare minimum, when you approach a woman, you should at least let her know that you think she's, attractive and sexually appealing. Now, you shouldn't go up to a woman and immediately just say, hey, I want you to meet me back at my place in an hour so I can fuck you in the ass. I mean, some people might say, well, damn, Alan, isn't that more one hardcore? If a woman's giving you flirtatious vibes, then yeah, that would be cool. But for the average woman, man, a woman gonna think you crazy if that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth. See, what I like to endorse, and you've heard me use this term before, is what I call qualifying conversation. Not small talk, but qualifying conversation. Qualifying conversation. You want to qualify a woman before you let her know that you want to fuck her. You want to qualify her. Number one, the first thing you want to qualify is to make sure she's single and available to fuck you. That woman might be married or engaged to be married. She might be deeply in love with a boyfriend she's been with for the last 15 years. So you want to find that out. You might want to find out if a woman is a more free-spirited type woman or if she's a more prudish type woman. A woman might be on her period and she might be cramping up. And when women are on their periods and cramping, the last thing they're thinking about is fucking. So you want to endorse engaging qualifying conversation. At least, no, not too lengthy. But, out of my 4 different variations of Mode 1, I always say when regular Mode 1, conventional Mode 1, I always allow up to 3 to 5 minutes to engage in small talk if need be. Up to 3 to 5 minutes to engage in small talk if need be. I don't think you should ever engage in more than roughly 5 minutes worth of trivial, inconsequential small talk with a woman. Mode 1 hardcore is where you don't engage in any small talk. You just let the woman know right off the bat. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I will be doing a live stream this Thursday at the normal time, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I'll talk to you then. Peace.